God is so much bigger than your fears, bigger than your doubts, bigger than your confusion, your pain, your past, and even your plans. The moment you grasp that truth not with your mind, but with your soul, your life begins to transform. It's not theory, it's not philosophy, it's spiritual law. We live in a world where we're constantly bombarded by limitations. People tell you, be realistic. They say, don't aim too high. They look at your dream and they reduce it to something practical. But God never told you to play small. He never whispered into your heart the idea of greatness so that you could live in mediocrity. No, if He planted the dream, He intends to fulfill it. But the route to that promise, it will require faith, not fear. It will demand trust, not just talent. You've got to understand something deep down in your spirit. What you see right now, your bank account, your surroundings, the obstacles in front of you, those things are temporary. They are subject to change, but God is eternal. God is not limited by what it's you. When you feel like giving up, it's because you're looking at the size of your battle instead of the size of your God. You're counting your resources instead of trusting in His supply. There is no financial struggle that intimidates Him. There is no illness that shocks Him. There is no broken heart that He cannot heal, no betrayal that He cannot redeem. God is so much bigger than the addiction, than the trauma, than the loneliness, than the anxiety that has tried to grip your life. He's bigger than what people think of you, bigger than your reputation, your status, your background. And if you ever come to truly believe that not halfway, not occasionally, but as a conviction rooted in your bones, you will rise. Do you know why some people never rise? It's not because they lack intelligence. It's not because they don't have opportunities. It's because they believe more in their limits than in their Lord. They've convinced themselves that their past defines their future. But your past is not a prophecy. It's a setup. It's material for your testimony. You may have been knocked down. You may have been overlooked, rejected, humiliated, but God is still writing your story. And the enemy wants to convince you that it's over, that there's no comeback for you. But what the enemy meant for evil, God will turn for good. He doesn't waste pain. He doesn't discard broken people. He restores, He rebuilds, and when He does it better than before. Some of you have dreams that feel dead. They've been buried by years of delay, discouragement, and disappointment. But hear this, just because it looks buried doesn't mean it's dead. Some seeds look like graves, but they're gardens. You thought you were in a season of loss, but you're in a season of preparation. You thought God forgot you, but He was building you. You see, man looks at the surface. God sees the soil. He sees the roots. He sees what no one else sees, including you. And when He's done preparing you in private, He'll reveal you in public. But you've got to trust Him. You've got to keep moving, even when you don't see the outcome, because faith is not about certainty. It's about surrender. It takes courage to keep believing when nothing around you is changing. It takes boldness to keep declaring victory when you're surrounded by defeat. But that is what faith looks like. It's not passive, it's powerful. It's not wishful thinking. It's a spiritual force that pulls the future into the present. And God honors that kind of faith, not because you earned it, but because you trusted Him enough to expect it. So when you feel weak, say, God is bigger than my weakness. When you feel afraid, say, God is bigger than my fear. When you feel lost, say, God is bigger than my confusion. Speak it until your soul believes it, until your faith outweighs your fear. Because if you keep saying what you see, you'll always stay stuck. But if you say what God says, if you start declaring truth instead of describing your problems, your reality will begin to shift. We are not meant to walk by sight. We are meant to walk by faith. Sight shows you limits. Faith shows you possibilities. Sight will tell you, you can't do this. Faith will tell you, with God, all things are possible. Sight says, this is too hard. Faith says, His strength is made perfect in my weakness. And when you choose faith over fear, even when it doesn't make sense, you activate something supernatural. You won't always feel strong. You won't always feel confident. But you don't have to. Your strength is not the source he is. You're not the power plug. You're the vessel. And when you realize that the pressure is not on you, but on the God who called you, something inside you relaxes. You stop striving and you start trusting. God's not asking for perfection. He's asking for obedience. He's asking for surrender. That's the real secret, not effort surrender. The moment you stop trying to control everything, the moment you stop relying on your limited understanding and you say, God, I give this to you, that's the moment he steps in. When you're overwhelmed, say, God is so much bigger than what's overwhelming me. When the bills pile up, when the opportunities seem to dry up, when the people walk away, don't panic. Pause, breathe, and remember who your source is. People are not your source. Jobs are not your source. God is your source. He can provide through any channel, but he is not limited to any channel. One connection can change everything. One door can change your destiny. One act of favor can accelerate what would have taken you years. But you have to believe, not halfway, not occasionally, but fully. That's when miracles happen. That's when chains break. That's when generational curses get shattered. Not because you fought harder, but because you believed deeper. Your belief is a magnet. It pulls the unseen into the seen. It causes things to move in the spiritual realm that eventually show up in the physical. If you really understood the power of your faith, you'd stop doubting yourself. You'd stop talking yourself out of blessings. You'd stop settling for crumbs when God has called you to the table. Some of you have settled for less not because God limited you, but because you stopped believing for more. You let your circumstances dictate your destiny, but you were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to conform. You were meant to rise, to overcome, to walk with power, not because you're powerful, but because God is. You're not too late, you're not too broken, you're not too far gone. What God put inside you is still alive, that dream is still possible, that calling is still valid, but you've got to stop looking at the mountain and start speaking to it. Stop rehearsing your limitations and start declaring his promises. Because God is bigger than your mountain, bigger than the divorce, bigger than the depression, bigger than the failure, bigger than the betrayal. Bigger than the addiction, bigger than your insecurities, bigger than anything that's tried to break you. He's bigger. And if you can just remember that if you can walk in that truth every single day, then nothing can stop you. Not because you're powerful, but because you finally realize he is. And that's why your prayers matter. Every whispered word in the dark, every tear that fell without a witness, they were not in vain. God heard them all, and while it may seem like heaven is silent, like your cries have gone unanswered, that silence is not rejection, it's preparation. It's the stillness before the shift, the quiet before the breakthrough. Because sometimes God works in the waiting, not in the rushing. He's shaping something inside you that's greater than what you asked for. See, we often pray for outcomes, but God is focused on growth. We want change around us, but he wants change within us. And when he stretches your faith, when he delays the answer, when he allows the pressure, it's not to destroy you. It's to develop you. It's to show you who you really are in him. Because your identity is not your job, not your title, not your performance, not even your past. Your identity is rooted in the one who made you. And when you stand firm in that identity, you become unshakable. Let them talk, let them doubt, let them leave. You don't need the approval of people who were never assigned to your purpose. You don't need validation from those who can't see your vision. You were called by God, not by man. And when God calls you, he qualifies you, he equips you, he empowers you, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing to trust him when it's uncomfortable, willing to step forward when there's no map, willing to believe when the evidence is missing. That's when heaven moves, not when you have it all figured out, but when you lean not on your own understanding. When you say, I don't know how, but I know who. and that knowing becomes your anchor. That confidence in God becomes your compass. You were never meant to do life alone. That's why you feel the heaviness. That's why it feels like too much, because you weren't built to carry it all by yourself. You were designed to depend on Him. You were made to lean, to cast your cares, not carry them. And yet, too many people live like orphans, striving, performing, pleasing, hoping someone will notice. Someone will affirm, someone will approve. But God already approved you. Before the foundation of the world He called you, not because of your resume, not because of your reputation, but because of your purpose, because He saw something in you that the world couldn't. And when God sees something in you, no man can cancel it, no mistake can erase it, no demon in hell can stop it. His calling is irrevocable. That's why you don't need to fear the unknown. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to chase what isn't yours. All you need to do is stay aligned. Stay close to the one who sees the whole picture, because while you're stressing about the pieces, He's already finished the puzzle. While you're panicking over delays, He's perfecting the details. Timing is everything, and just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. Delay is not denial. A closed door is not rejection. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes God blocks what you want because it would have stolen what you truly need. Sometimes He withholds so He can give you better, not because He's punishing you, but because He loves you too much to let you settle. So don't curse the process. Don't despise the season you're in. Don't rush what God is refining. He's not just building your blessings, He's building your capacity. Because if you step into a level you're not ready for, that level will break you. But if you allow Him to stretch you, to mold you, to train you in the fire, then when the opportunity comes, you'll be ready. And make no mistake, it's coming. The moment, the shift, the breakthrough. But not for the version of you who's scared, not for the version of you who plays small. It's coming for the version of you who believes, who steps out, who declares, I may not be enough on my own, but God is bigger than my lack, bigger than my fear, bigger than my excuses, and with Him I am unstoppable. You see, real transformation doesn't happen when you get more things. It happens when you get more truth, when the truth of who God is becomes louder than the lies that try to bind you, when His word becomes your foundation, not opinions, not trends, not moods, His word. Because that word is unshakable, and when you stand on that word, you become unshakable too. You start to walk different, talk different, think different. You stop reacting to every little thing because you know who's in control. You stop begging people to stay because you know who assigned you. You stop shrinking to fit rooms you've outgrown because you know you were made for more. And all that strength, all that clarity, all that peace, it comes when you understand that God is bigger. Bigger than the system, bigger than the economy, bigger than the politics, bigger than the culture, bigger than the plans of man, bigger than every no you've heard, bigger than every obstacle in your path. And if you truly believe that, then fear loses its grip, because fear cannot survive where faith is fed. Doubt cannot thrive where truth is spoken. So speak truth, not just to others, but to yourself. When your mind tells you it's over, speak truth. When your emotions say, I can't take any more, speak truth. When your reality screams lack, speak abundance. When your history says, you've always failed, speak destiny. Your mouth has power, your words have weight, and when you align them with God's promises, something starts to shift in the atmosphere. You're not helpless, you're not hopeless, you are not abandoned. Heaven is backing you. Even when it feels silent, even when it looks dark, God is working, behind the scenes, beneath the surface, inside your heart, all to prepare you for what He's already planned. So don't focus on what's missing, focus on who's with you. Don't magnify the problem, magnify the promise, because what you focus on grows. If you focus on fear, it multiplies. If you focus on pain, it intensifies. But if you focus on God, the God who split seas, the God who shut lions' mouths, the God who raised the dead, then everything else begins to shrink in comparison. because he's not just a Sunday idea. He's not a religious routine. He's not a distant, uninterested force. He is real, he is personal, he is powerful, and he is present, right now in your room, in your situation, in your next decision. And when you grasp that not with your head, but with your spirit, you stop trying to survive, and you start to thrive. Keep going. So hear me now, loud and clear. You are not defeated. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. The same God who breathed life into you, who called you for a purpose greater than you can even comprehend, has not changed his mind about you. The world may have tried to define you by your struggle, your failure, or your delay, but God defines you by your destiny. And that destiny is still alive. So from this day forward, don't you dare walk like someone who's alone. Don't talk like someone who's powerless. Don't think like someone who has no hope. Walk like you are backed by heaven. Talk like you are destined for greatness. Think like the child of a king, because that's who you are. You were never called to play small. You were never created to just survive. You were built to rise, to shine, to reflect the glory of a God who is so much bigger than your past, your pain, your fear, your enemies, your doubts, and your limitations. So stand tall, speak boldly, pray deeply, believe fiercely. Move forward and never forget. No matter what comes against you, no matter what tries to break you, God is still greater. God is still bigger, and with him you are unstoppable. Now go, walk in power. Walk in faith, walk in victory, because God is so much bigger than everything trying to hold you back.